it's Norman. Here's a colour class. Here's the starting point. So what you want you to do is look through all your piles of paint, if you have them. If you're starting out fresh, that's fine. Just get some basic colours, red, yellows, blues, and so forth. But if you've got piles of colours, I'd like you to select a bunch of yellows, bunch of blues and greens, bunch of reds or oranges. You can include any tubes that have red in the name, like this is Indian red or Venetian red. Those are earth reds. And yellow ochre. So yellows, blues and greens, reds and oranges. And put them in piles like this, separate piles. And then what I did is I closed my eyes, turned around a few times, closed my eyes, and just felt for in the pile and picked one out. One from each pile. And I ended up with blooming yellow ochre and phthalo green, phthalo blue, which I've not used for a while, and cadmium orange. So this is like a primary palette, but it's not a perfect primary palette. Like a perfect primary palette would be Windsor yellow, maybe this, or maybe ultramarine, and then maybe actually 2 reds would be the perfect palette. But I'd like you to do that. So it's yellows, blues and greens, reds or oranges, and at random pick one from each pile, and that's going to be your palette, and you're going to discover what's possible and what's not possible with those colors. So here's my setup. You need a tablecloth which is green and white checked. That's essential. Of course, I'm joking. You don't need that at all. You need one of your primaries along the top, one down the side, one down the other side. Let's say we'll do it like that. And we'll put some blobs of white in the middle. And we're going to try and mix up lots of different colours from this palette. Now, if you look at the side there, you can see I've cheated in that I started out with 3 tubes of paint and white, of course. And I've got lots of other ones, but I've not really cheated. Just to defend my honour, what I've done is I'm just using up. So this is the yellow ochre that I picked at random, and this is an old one that I've got to use up. And this is the cadmium orange that I chose, but I've used up some of this cadmium orange. But this is artist quality. It's a bit stronger, but it's basically the same stuff. And so I'm just using up paint. So in terms of using up paint, you'll get tubes that get like this, so they're worn out. But you can get more out of them if you use a jar. It's hard to do this one-handed, but if you use a jar and just roll it, then you'll be able to roll the paint to the top end, and then fold this over a number of times until you've got let's see, this is one that's been partly done. It's just to keep it from, so you can squeeze the paint out. There you go. What a great practitioner I am. There's a tube of paint that's been squoze, which is not a real word, I don't think, squeezed, and folded at the end. We are being very thrifty today. So now we have some intermediary colours mixed. So we've got the orange pure at the top, the yellow ochre pure at the side, phthalo blue pure here, and then mix in the phthalo blue with the yellow ochre, makes these kind of greenish colours. Mixing the phthalo blue with more and more orange. Oops, takes that out of focus, so that we can see these intermediary colours there. I'm mixing the yellow ochre with the orange up here. It's all mixed with a palette knife and just piles of MOTs are used to wipe off the palette knife, so I'm not wasting my nice rags. And that means that the palette knife can be wiped perfectly clean. We don't work with a dirty palette knife, otherwise we get dirty colours. And now I'm going to start mixing some tints. Tint is the name of the... When you add white to a colour, you create a tint. When you add black to a colour, which you shouldn't do properly, but anyway, you'll make a shade. And I learned the other day that if you add grey to a colour, you make a tone, like a tone or a tone, depending on where you come from. So now we're going to mix. I don't know much about this, but Elizabeth Geiger, who's a very good painter, said that if you pre-mix tints of colours, it helps you in your painting, helps your colour mixing. So we're going to try it. So then I'll wipe it off on there. I'll squeeze it with my fingers if I'll do it on my pants. So we'll make some tints of these, and you'll see how different quality that colour is to that one. You know, let's try this one here. Some artists, like Anastasia Pollard, for instance, who's a portrait painter, some artists mix strings of colour. So they'll do that, you know, steps in between, and then a lighter version still. So you've got these whole strings of colour. In this exercise, it certainly does help you see what is possible, what colours are possible. So we'll do a bit of that. So now we have mixed what we call the intermediaries, these colours in between the pure colours, and we've mixed a mid-tonal value and a light tonal value of each colour. And we have, as you can see, a really splendid range of colours, quite varied, even with this limited palette. Now, in this palette, just because I randomly chose it, we don't have any red. There's no red at all. If you look at the colour wheel, you can see that my selection of colours is strong blue, very dull greens, dull yellows, and a strong orange. But only this section of the colour wheel is in play in my palette. Now, for your selection of colours, you can deliberately make sure that you have some sort of red, some sort of yellow, and some sort of blue, if it makes it easier for you. But this is the fun. It's like playing the cards you're dealt. So yeah. So your task now is to make a painting out of these colours. A landscape painting or some sort of similar subject is more useful really than something too specific, because it's much easier to play around with a landscape than it is with other subjects. So I found this picture of Trafalgar Square, and it's obviously two photographs mashed together in Photoshop, not very expertly, but enough to give a more panoramic view. This picture has reds in it, so I won't be able to get those reds, but I will be able to get from orange through to blue and some subtle colours in between. So this is my choice of subject. So my first marks on the board are just to indicate the positions of things. I don't want to go with too dark a drawing that's going to muddy the colours on top, so I just use a light yellow, and then start to block in the colours, the more pure blue for the sky, and relating it to the slightly darker, duller colour of the ground. You'll see that the ground is more of a pinkish colour in the photograph, but I don't really have that option, so I have to go towards greenish with my range of colours. But that's fine. We're learning that in this instance, good colour is not always about the exact colour, but it's more about colour relationships. So it's about preserving your pure colours for where they're going to have most effect. So in the lights, around the incandescent lights, is where I'm going to keep my purest oranges. I'm not going to waste my purest orange on some patch on the floor, because that would be a waste. And I'm going to keep my purest blue for the sky. Not going to waste it to many other places. Here's the finished painting. It's 12 by 6 inches. When you've not got a great range of colours, sometimes it's good to try and push the way the paint is applied to keep some entertainment in the image. And so that's your task. A primary colour task, 3 primaries that may not be perfect primaries. Investigate all the different colours that you can mix from them, and then use those colours to make yourself a little landscape. I look forward to seeing them. Bye for now.